Broadcast is live. Match Schmidt, QH.
All right, here we go.
It went from 8 seconds to just you.
Well, we're live now, I think so.
Yes.
Awesome.
I was actually just thinking. Do you remember how we met?
Through the quantum healing thing.
Definitely.
I don't know if it was the forum or the very first.
Vaguely remember just something, and now it's like this amazing, blossoming friendship. I think, at least.
I think, and we're totally like learning from each other's stuff.
I look up to you so much. I'm like, what would I swear to God? I'm not kidding. When I'm like in a jam, especially like in a session, I need to think. I'm like, what would Matt do? What would Matt do right now?
And then I stuff I haven't even thought of, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a really good, good approach, because we all have this experience and stuff, and how we go about stuff, and you kind of have to just gotta play around with stuff and figure out where.
Before you gave me my first quantum healing session, I was like stuck in that box. I was so afraid to just like explore or ask. I didn't even know how to ask questions. And now I ask like 3 to 5 additional questions on top of somebody's question. Just to like get every single angle that I can. I want to like squeeze all the good stuff out of that fruit when we're there.
Hi guys. So yeah, today Linna and I are talking about quantum healing, the magical world of quantum healing.
Yeah,
and it really is a magical world once you step into it. Like I had no idea until I started doing this.
It's magic.
How amazing the world is.
You worked in science, like you were a scientist, right?
Still I'm at heart, and it's the best job for someone who wants to know everything, because you can, I don't know, you go like I've had to let go of like the things that I thought I knew, because that was actually keeping me stuck. And if you think about what the core of science is, it's asking that main question, why? So
right.
I don't know if you're really inquisitive and really that core scientific mindset and value, you get back to where we are right now. And things that keep people stuck is they don't stay curious about things. So
I have this friend who's extremely intelligent, philosophy major, really love dissecting things with this person, but like sometimes the why factor blows my mind, because I at some point I stopped asking why, and I just that's it. I'm like, it just is. And sometimes it's just you feel this in here, and it's like, how do you explain that to somebody who needs that dissection? I don't know. And then sometimes I'm like, am I the dumb one, or is it just because I can't explain something that's within? It blows my mind. I don't know. So how did you get about that? Like, how did you go about letting go of the why?
It wasn't an easy process. It was basically 10 years of stuff not working, and me trying to do things the same way. And then eventually I had to take a step back and say, hey, maybe I don't know everything. And I just started questioning things again. So I think it was just that process of questioning things and kind of being out of that environment. I'd kind of given up at some point. Not really totally, but like I've given up on doing the same thing the same way that I was doing stuff. So
right.
And it took me quite a while. It wasn't like I just woke up one day and figured that out. So how about yourself?
Well, wait. How far after your quantum healing session, though?
Not that long. I mean, it was a little bit of a shift, but not too much. It was like, well, I guess I'm doing this now because it's working, and I saw my own amazing results in physical healing. And it's like, this is where it's at. I knew in my heart.
And you helped me see mine. And it's just the connection. Cause you can have that instantaneous aspect of the healing, but then remember, I don't know if you remember, cause I know you like don't hold on to sessions, but like obviously I'm going to remember mine where my strongest, oh my God, I forgot the word I'm looking for. The strongest thing that I had to tackle was patience. And that patience was what helped me see the healing happen over time. That was like the biggest thing, and now I'm going to answer your question is how I came into quantum healing was, like, I always knew that there was I always knew something. Like my dad would always remind me like how special I am, because I always had this connection to animals, and I was just very intuitive and like just a different kid completely. But which landed me somehow being really empathetic and made fun of as a kid, just landed me into a very narcissistic and abusive relationship in my early 20s. And I escaped. And then after that, I was very lonely and I cried for days on end. Like I couldn't be here. I just didn't feel like this was home. And it was a very dark time for me. And I contemplated suicide. And like, I just remember it clear as day. I'm typing something online and I was like, this can't be it. Like this 9 to 5 can't be it. It's not real. This is not real. We have so much potential. We are made for more than to be zombies. Somebody was like, you need to read this book. And I'll never, if I ever write a book, I'm definitely going to thank this person in this book for introducing me to Dolores Cannon, because it was the book Between Death and Life, which answered all my questions about death, about the afterlife. And not only that, I remembered things like the Akashic records and the realms and all these levels. I was like, I know this. I know all this. I know where we go. How do I know all this? And then that's where the journey began. And then I just studied all of her books up until, what was it? I've been into it for about 13 years. I studied it for 10, and now I'm practicing for like 3. So this whole journey has been trying to understand this woman's content, or like the recorded content of this convoluted information. Some days, I don't know about you, but some days it would take me like a few days to process like 2 pages of her convoluted books. I'd be like, I have to go back and reread it because it just, and sometimes when people comment on my posts, like, why can't you give us more? Can't you give us more? Or it's like, now I understand why she spoon fed us, because not everybody can handle it all at once, because people might go crazy. You never know. It's a lot of information to process. People might not be ready. People aren't understanding. And now I kind of understand why subliminal messages are a thing. It's, you know what I mean? The conditioning. The government definitely know what they're doing. My word on that. But yeah, it's an incredible. And then I met you, and you're like the big brother I never had, because you definitely, especially in this field, like you definitely keep me going. You keep me strong in it. Like I don't know. Like I really hold to what would Matt do? Definitely. Because I know you've had more cases than me, and it's definitely, I really respect your feedback. It's excellent.
I think half the fun is not knowing. when we think we know everything, we like really like constrict things, and in the quantum realm, you end up missing the magic. And I think when we go back to like even these old days, like these magicians and stuff, they're tapping into the same thing that we're calling quantum now. But like basically, it's that field of possibilities that if you think it has to be a certain way, you limit it. You collapse that wave function. You have like a specific possibility or an individual possibility, and then you miss out on the magic.
And I noticed that it's a very it is a very human thing to label and limit, isn't it? It's like, why can't you just let it have, because once we tap into that telepathic connection, there's a whole slew of ways to describe something, which includes images, feelings, and words. But like, not a lot of people get that yet. They're just doing the words, and there's, how can you, It is. It's very limiting. And like sometimes I struggle to find language to explain something because it comes from feeling. It comes from picture. Have you ever had that? Did you ever struggle with that?
All the time, and it's and you don't have to identify it or like put into words like the stuff that you're feeling. You can do your best to kind of describe what's happening, but like you almost restrict it by thinking it has to be a certain way, or like, oh, this is what I'm feeling. Sometimes there is no words for it. Just feel it. Like I think that's way more powerful than trying to clumsily put words to something when there's that.
Yes.
So.
See, someone here said that philosophy. I'm a philosophy major, but I believe in quantum healing and other things you can't explain. And the philosophy helped them open their third eye. So that's I've never really been a philosophy major, but I do respect philosophy a lot. I don't know. Do you think quantum healing falls into like a philosophical genre? Is it genre?
I don't even know. Like it's so loosely defined the more that I do this.
So loosely. You don't know what to expect.
Well, even in quantum physics, like the founder of quantum physics said, nobody understands quantum physics, and it's like it's hard for us to even wrap our minds around. I asked about in someone's session about something as simple as time. Okay, there's no future, there's no past. I was like, okay, I can kind of wrap my mind around that, how it's all happening now. I'm like, but what about sequence? Like, didn't my mom have to have me before I could be in this now moment? Very logical question. And the answer was, well, it's actually your inability to understand the backward motion of forward-moving events that creates the illusion of sequence and time. And I'm like,
you remember that so thoroughly because it's mind-blowing. It's like you're not capable of understanding this right now.
I know our human minds like have a tough time with just
it makes
nonlinear
me
things.
feel like a flea. Like maybe a flea's smarter than me at this point. And they understand. Like the animals know. They already know. And I had the quantum facilitator that I'm going to have the session swap with. She also said that she was told we're simultaneously experiencing being a plant, being an animal, being ourselves. And then there's also millions of versions of us. And I'm like, because yes, at the same time, but also past lives. Is that they're all happening now? So does that also tie into? It's just so much.
And there are, I've found too, there's no like rules. Like people are like, well, this is how it has to be, and like this soul can do this, and it's like, no, it's so, I don't know, there are no rules. We try to put things in boxes, and like, well, angels can't do this and this can't do this, and like, says who? Because I've seen it. Even people that didn't believe stuff has happened in their sessions where, I'll give you an example. We talk about contracts with people. This person was trying to write this contract and rewrite this contract, tear up this contract with that person. And in the session, she found out that it wasn't working because this was her. Her soul had actually like split, and it was still part of the same soul energy in two different bodies. So they're like, you can't rewrite a contract. There is no contract because this is you.
But did it explain why her soul split?
Yes, for the experience. It wanted to experience both sides of the same interaction for growth and learning and yada yada. So if you think about it, that's kind of what we're all doing. We're kind of all doing that anyway. But like this wanted to experience both of these aspects in the same lifetime. I've had people that actually their souls split into 8 separate realities, or not realities, but lives, and they were happening simultaneously in different parts of the world. So
have you seen that movie, Everything Happening Everywhere All at Once, yet?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either, but that sounds like something that movie might be about, like the soul splitting and everything happening. But so do you think they're tapped into all of them, or they're, like you said, they're experiencing them all separately?
I think they can. I think there's a special connection to that. I mean, it's still part of the same soul energy, but I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my mind all around it. And at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters because each person, the whole point of being here is having that individualized experience to take back to, even all of our lifetimes, to take back to the collective experience. So,
right. Is that, because I'm pretty sure, because I've had multiple split personality cases. I've never had a schizophrenia case, or haven't had one yet. You've had them, haven't you?
Mhm. Yeah, and what I find with a lot of the mental illness, anytime their higher self comes through, they tell me this is their gift that they chose.
It is a gift.
Yes.
It's absolutely a gift. It's just
Not if you don't know how to use it, it's not.
they,
So a lot of
it's
a
not
lot of the
even
work that I do with a
pointed.
person is showing them is teaching them how to use that gift. Because
Right.
can you imagine walking around with your foot in like a different world, your head in a different world, trying to function here? Like it's tough.
Well,
So
I mean, does the higher self give pointers on
oh
how
yeah,
to?
of course. And part of it is bringing that part back into balance. And sometimes it's even an energetic thing. Sometimes it's even a grounding issue. And if you're in another culture, maybe a shaman takes you under their wings and they teach you the ropes. It's still a hard life, but at least you have someone to kind of show you the path rather than just medicate you and throw you in like, oh, we don't know what to
That
do with you.
kills me. That really kills me with the medication, and like how people are like, because I've known people to be just like stuck in their diagnosis and dependent on the medication, and I'm like, you're so much better than this, but it's like their crutch sometimes, and they have to like go through the motions, I guess, to understand that they are gifted, and it's not really a disease or like a mental ailment. Yeah, that's one thing that grinds my gears sometimes, because I know the potential of these people, and I just want to be like, wake up.
I want to address one of the comments.
Yeah.
This is from someone on YouTube, someone that I worked with. I worked with her partner. So we talk about healing and stuff like that, but sometimes it's not physical healing in this world. Sometimes the soul their time is done. Their time here is done. They don't want to be here anymore. It still is beneficial because they're healing that part of their life, so they don't have to redo it. I mean, it's huge because you don't have to carry that into the next experience, and you don't have to work on that on the other side. So no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome of a session is, there's still healing. It may not be in the way that we think or the way that we see, but when you can
Yes.
take a step back and look at the big picture, and I've actually had some of these people come through in other sessions that have passed, and they're thanking me for having this experience here because that advanced their soul, and they move through so much so that they don't have to redo it and repeat it. So
Your past clients that you've worked with that have passed on?
yes, that have come through in other people's sessions.
Oh
and
man.
to explain how healing that was for them, and how they're in such a better place because of the work that we did, even though they're not here on this plane. So
Right.
I think that's another huge point. Like, I used to get so attached to the outcome, like, why didn't this work? And it's like, no, there's always a bigger picture than what we see.
Always a better.
And I've had to kind of detach and be like, that's not my path. That's what this soul chose, and it's all perfect. So
Right.
I
Right.
think it's another good aspect of kind of the work that we do.
Yeah, I've had something like that where the higher self was like, well, she has a contract. She has, 2 more years left. And I'm like, what? I just was like, having the person listen back to this, I'm like, oh my God. But then, there were other things that could have been played out. Like, they could have changed that contract, or they had that choice to do it. They just had to make the changes themselves in the physical realm. So it was very interesting to experience that. It's but I've never had anybody I've had clients pass shortly after because they were like terminally ill, but I've never had anybody come through yet.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they're okay. I mean,
I had a person like that, and they had a choice, like kind of same similar situation, and whatever their physical thing went away. It was a rare form of cancer, and it disappeared within days. No one had ever lived from it, but then they said, well, they have 3 weeks to decide, and to the hour was when they decided not to go through with whatever, and they were able to.
live out.
Yeah, they passed because like a nurse screwed up something in the hospital, and it right down to the hour when they said they were going to leave, and when they had the chance to decide, and that we're fine either way. They had a tough life. This is they can choose whatever they want. But this is where they're at.
Do you think the powers, because like they're in charge, and they're in charge for everything, even the communication that they have, from down to our stubbing our toes and the mistakes that other people make. So do you think that nurse, subconsciously had that play?
There's that woven into that. Maybe she was like, maybe this has happened before, and there's so much more that goes into this, and I always think it's so beautiful how it's all orchestrated and
so orchestrated. Who orchestrates this, and how many people are actually?
I know, it blows my mind.
Or how many entities are involved? Like sometimes a higher self will come through, and then there's like 5 other people or 5 other entities that are with this person, and I'm like, okay. And then I had a case where a person had like 4 or 5 higher selves, and they all but one gave up on her because she just like made things so difficult, and it was just so. And I was like, oh no, but that higher self was not giving up. They were very, very loving, and it was incredible. And like you said, the interweaving of everything is just so detailed down to the very last like molecule. It's it's very beautiful. It's very I don't know, I can't find these words. I can't find these words. Has to do with like just not detailed, intricate.
Mm-hmm. Oh
yeah.
We got another one. If you want to answer this one,
what is it?
What are the benefits to explore and heal past lives?
What are the benefits to explore and heal past lives? Well, it's not always the case that somebody goes back into a past life, right? But the way the past life works out, depending on the case and the situation, because every situation is unique. Mm-hmm. So depending on what you may have not finished, what you signed up to do and carry over, it's so like that's also very intricate, because you'll have people who carry over the fears from a past life, and then I've had cases where people dream about their past lives and they walk around as if they're guilty of something that they didn't even do in this life, and they had to like go and let go of it. So the benefits is in my understanding is to find out what it is that correlates with this life. And then once you acknowledge that, you're able to let it go. Once you finally find that logical reason of why this is happening, you're like, oh, okay. Oh, I don't want it to bother me anymore. Bye. That's it. Like, it's as easy as that. We just make things so difficult sometimes, but it really depends. I mean,
what are some of the things you see come from past lives? Like, I mean, I see a lot of fears, phobias, weird pains in weird parts of their body, birthmarks, almost always past lifey. What other things do you see from past lives?
A lot of them are emotional, trust issues. A lot of them have been, big one has been trust issues. The client that I had who was constantly dreaming of killing somebody, and kept walking around their day to day feeling that they have a body to hide when they don't have a body to hide. And then they went back to a past life and found out that they had this burden of a sibling who was mentally ill or was made mentally ill by a parent, because this client also had healing abilities that was very taboo in the timeline that they were in. So because of this burden of a sibling that was left on them, they ended up killing them. And they described the killing scene, and a lot of it's like that. So I don't know. It hasn't been physical with me. It's been very emotional. I had to go back to where their children were kidnapped and they couldn't do anything about it. So they had this, and they couldn't find their voice, and they couldn't. They didn't have not even a vehicle. There weren't even vehicles at the time. They didn't have a horse to get their kid back. So this client presented with like thyroid issues, and they had a very hard time voicing themselves, and they had this fear that their children would be stolen in this life. So we definitely
that's also a physical issue, and I see that a lot with. I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of people too. Like I get a lot of healers, or people that are in the healing fields, and
a lot of people who don't even know that they're healers. Right? A lot of people that don't even realize that they're supposed to be healing. A lot of people come through. They're like, what's my purpose? Their purpose is to heal. Their purpose is to help others. It's all about, a lot of it's very selfless work.
but linked to the past lives, they shut it down because it killed them. They got killed because of it in a past life. They were persecuted for, thinking differently, for even like people that would collect herbs and stuff like that. They're like, oh, they're a witch. Let's
Yes.
kill them.
And that trauma carries over, that emotional trauma carries over, that physical trauma carries over for sure. I've been getting a lot of like I don't even know how to put that, like people who have like really big roles to play. I don't know if you've gotten any of those. Just I'm just fascinated by how many people are linked to this higher power that they don't realize that they're linked to. And we're all into it, but like their higher selves are like, yeah, they have this massive role to play. And then when they come out of it, they're like, well, that's a really big pill to swallow. So how do they? It's I'm like, the pill is down there. Don't worry. Like you have to get there. It's not like today that you have to lead people through a desert, It's fascinating.
We got another question. Is there any contraindications from this modality that people shouldn't pursue this type of healing? Is there anyone this couldn't help? In the beginning, I was told that we couldn't do this with quite a few things. So with kids, we couldn't do this with people with schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder. I haven't found any of those to be true yet. I always feel with my heart, and maybe there are those cases, but I think I would be able to tell. I'm not trusting anyone else's guidance or what is said that I should do or not do, and it's been incredible. So I think like everyone can benefit from this. Sometimes if people are not in a physical state to get help, we do what's called a surrogate session. And that's where we're working with someone close through the individual. This would be maybe someone who's nonverbal, someone who's deaf, anything like that, where we would have like a surrogate do the session through them. So I haven't found any case where there isn't some way that we can do this for through someone. So even young kids, a lot of times like the lessons are for the parents, but if you have a 2-year-old, they're not going to be able to probably do this. I mean, I've worked with, I don't know, 8, 9-year-olds pretty readily and pretty regular, and that's pretty amazing stuff. And they're more tapped in than we are, so we have to work a lot harder than they do.
The children are very tapped in. Yeah. Anyone who wants to be healed can be healed. This is basically open to anyone who wants to, but depending on the facilitator, I have gotten like cases where I've turned them away because I've felt uncomfortable when it comes to a certain extent. But other than that, anybody who wants to be healed can be healed, and I'm always ready. I'm always ready to go explore and help somebody out. Yeah. So
what are some of the coolest things that you've seen so far doing this? So I think it's amazing. I could talk all day about some of these amazing things.
Aliens in my bedroom. I don't know how cool that is as far as a warning, because you've had aliens in your bedroom and you've seen them in a different way. Mine were there as warnings. So I'm like, okay, why am I seeing this in my room? That was really cool. Connecting to my future kids that I haven't had yet in my session was so incredible. And now when I had confirmation, seeing, because I see what's the word? I'm sorry, I always have struggle finding words. Sacred geometrical shapes, like when I stare at a wall and it's always a rainbow. And now that's like gotten even bigger. I see it in plants now. I see it in like everything is just like glowing now and like amplified. Seeing, I don't know. It's hard to think when you're like putting it on the spot.
Yeah.
What have you seen? Maybe it'll spark my memory, because I've seen a lot of really interesting things. Oh, I love when I get like really, really people who are just like, I don't know how to put this, like really rough personalities, and then their higher self is the sweetest pie, or like the softest, that you wouldn't expect. Like it's the complete opposite of what you would expect. That's always fun.
I know, we see these personalities. I worked with a friend of mine who's autistic, and his higher self came through, and it was once his anger dissipates, he'll be on the most optimal timeline for blah blah. And I'm like, what? Like, I know this kid pretty well. He doesn't talk like that. It's like, and we see this body, and even when working with kids, their higher self isn't a little kid, you know, like they're talking in this adult voice. The same thing comes through for them, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, you see everything way different because it's not this little human. Here's this old soul that is in this tiny body, or is in
Even
this.
vocabulary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really?
Or even doing this with people, and like it's funny doing this with people who English isn't their first language, and they'll be talking, oh, like you say in your country, and then we get into it, and it's actually the way that we see it is blah blah blah, very perfect formal English, and it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to see.
Didn't you have like somebody who's from the States, but their higher self had like a Russian accent?
Oh yeah, I mean it's all. Yeah. Everything is just, yeah, there's no, sometimes they'll have them translate, or sometimes they'll be speaking languages that neither of us know. Some like galactic language that
Right.
like, okay, or
Oh,
some
here I have a question. I have a question for you, Matt.
Mhm.
There are some cases where people say when you're trying to get their higher self to come through, where they're like, I'm not getting anything, or I don't see anything. I'm not getting anything. How do you go about that? How, because they do. We know that there is healing, and when they listen back, there is messages for them. So what do you think that is? Do you think that's the ego brain?
I do a lot with framing it before. So the cool part is your higher self is always there. What we call your higher self,
Yeah.
this internal guidance. I tell people we're basically turning down the static so we can listen to that guidance a little
Right.
easier. So you don't even have to do this to get that guidance. You can get it when you're walking. You can get it when you're doing dishes,
Yes.
or I get a lot of stuff standing in the shower. You don't really have to try to get this. You just have to like stop, stop questioning everything and analyzing everything to actually allow that to take place. And
Right. And it's
I
generally the first thing that comes to mind, right? Like you trust
yeah.
that first loving, logical response.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are we getting more questions? I see all
Yep.
these.
Yeah. I have more here, but so does this have to be done in person? If done remote, is it still as effective?
Oh,
Each person is healing themselves. It does not matter where my voice comes from.
yeah.
There'll be people that will tell you that you can't do this or that, or whose rules are those? Like, and
Right.
where's
It's
that
very
coming
fear
from?
based. Very fear
Um,
based.
I have not had any problems, and it's been incredible.
Incredible.
Some of the most amazing results I've done. It doesn't matter where I am. I'm not the one doing it. And the same thing that we're depending on to do all this amazing healing and stuff isn't going to let anything bad happen. So
No.
it's all coming from that place of fear. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've had to get over that for myself and just like and follow my heart, basically, and then get out of my head and be like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. And when I stopped doing that, then it's been pretty incredible. So.
Right. It's really if you're comfortable, because I've had clients that would want to do, they prefer in person over remote, even though it's just an option. It's there, you know. So whatever you're comfortable with. If they feel like they have a better heart connection with you in person, then by golly, if it's possible, go do it. I'll do it. You know. Oh my gosh, I froze and I look so weird.
I have some other questions here, so I'll just pop them on.
Yeah.
So this questions was, well, let's see if I can do both of them. No. So this is about Suboxone and having withdrawals.
Mm.
I've gone through like the whole addiction thing. Your physical body still has to adjust. Even after something like this, your physical body still has to equilibrate, still has to adjust. But what we'd go through in this, where I was stuck, was I had actually quit drugs before this, but I still hadn't got over the patterns that were the pull towards doing that. So after I did this for myself, that same pull wasn't there like it used to be. You still have to. I mean, your body still has to adjust. Even going through this, even without the coming off drugs or medications, there's still an adjustment period. There's an integration period for
Yeah.
people even that don't do this. So um, you can. You still kind of have to go through it, but this is the easiest, most effective way I know to shift out of that and to actually be successful in the long run. So, good question.
Very.
All right, the next question: what can be done to help the healing stick and not fall back into old patterns? Okay, so what we see with this is, or what I see at least, is people go back to what's familiar. Even if it sucks, they'll go back to what they know just because it's familiar. So one of the easiest things that I tell people is listen back to the recording of their session. You wouldn't
Always.
believe how many people don't even do that basic step. Listening back to all the information is on this recording. So each session is recorded, and listening back hardwires in that new information. In terms of neuroscience, you can think of it kind of like, after we're done, it's almost like a blank slate, blank canvas. It's real easy to go right back to the same stuff you're doing, but to really make those big changes, listening back to that reinforces that.
You
And
get
as they
new
say, like,
downloads every time too.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and then applying yourself. You got to really put your best foot forward. If you want that change, also you have to be that change.
You
have
gotta
the
do
proof.
it.
You have the
You can
proof.
get the best advice in the world.
Yeah.
Your job's killing you, but I make good money there. Guess what? Stuff isn't gonna change.
Right. I mean, we all have this. Don't we all have this like predestined path, right? And then if we're veering off of it, they're always going to give us a nudge or do something to get our attention. I mean, that's where we get a lot of those aches and pains sometimes, or like the stub toes or car accidents. A lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're veering off. Go. No? Okay. Crash your plane. Like paralyzed. Now you can focus on what you're really supposed to be focusing on. Like, wow, really got the message there.
That's I use the analogy too. Like you can go from, I don't know, Green Bay to Miami. You can start driving towards Canada. Well, guess what? You're going to be kind of rerouted back. Like, oh no, got to go this way. You can also drive through a plowed field all the way there. Probably not the best way you can do it. It's going to be a little bumpy, and you're not going to get there. But yeah, everything is kind of guiding you back onto that highway where life can be easy, life can be fun, and it doesn't have to be this big ordeal. So
right. No, my favorite analogy that I've ever heard you say about listening to the higher self was woodworking, where you're like that little voice that tells you to wear the goggles, but you're like, that's okay, I'll squint.
We've all had that where we're like, we think we know better, and it's like
100%. No, listen to that voice. Yeah, that inner voice. Sometimes people can, it's easy to confuse it, but it's always that gut feeling. And that's why I always ask when I'm either saying goodbye to the higher self, or like I'll ask on the person's behalf, like when you are connecting with them, what will they feel? What will they hear? And it's so different for everybody. Some people will get that in the back of their head. They're like, oh, okay, it's going to be a pulling in the heart, or it's going to be a sinking in the stomach. It's so vital to know what yours is, because that way you have that accurate response. I think it's very beautiful to be connected to your higher self at all times.
Next question. So is this hypnosis in a way?
I don't call it hypnosis. I don't. You say yeah, I say no.
I stopped using the word hypnosis because no one has a problem. What happens is people have expectations that hold them back from getting what they need to out of this. Since I stopped using the word hypnosis, no one has a problem. But basically, you're in a different state of consciousness, which is all hypnosis is. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and it's a very normal, regular brainwave state. So you actually go through these states about 300 times a day. So you literally can't not do this.
Right.
Like it's impossible to not do this. What gets in the way is people's expectations. Oh, I don't think I was hypnotized. Well, have you ever been hypnotized? And so that gets in the way because their expectation is something they've never even experienced or have no frame of reference for.
There's also this painted fear behind it, though. It's kind of like, yeah, that expectation where it's like, you're going to make me do something stupid or whatever it may be. And I'm like, no, this is not. And I stopped calling it. I don't believe it's hypnosis anyway, because you're literally in contact the entire time. So whatever people think.
And you're fully aware. Like we're just having a conversation. You're just in a more relaxed state. So the analogy I like to use is there's a study that was done, and we're monitoring brainwave states, different states of consciousness. within 60 seconds of watching TV, every single person is in a different state of consciousness.
Yep.
It does not feel like it for that person, but try talking to someone that's glued to a screen. They're not there. So that's how seamless and natural this state is. And so once you understand what this actually is, then people have no problem. But I've had people, what are you going to make me do? And I was like, it doesn't work that way. I already tried with my partner.
Heal yourself.
No one can make you do anything. It'd make my job a lot easier, but it doesn't work that way. Even I've had people say, well, what if I don't come back? I'm like, well, where are you going to go? Someone thought they were going to die because they thought they could get stuck out there. I'm like, once I stopped using that word, no one has a problem, and it's the exact same thing. So I know you use Contraindications healing meditation. It's basically, you can think of it as a meditation that's just live in person and
it's a guided meditation. Yeah, it's literally, and it's so relaxing. It's like the best feeling when you wake up. Remember when you counted me out? I was like 5 more minutes, like put me back. It's so freeing. And then when you're tapped in, this is the most incredible thing that I think they should hear is when you're tapped in, it's such a powerful thing. It's like you ask a question, boom, you get the answer. Sometimes it's really elaborate, and sometimes it's just like one answer that answers everything. And it's just so direct. And like to have that kind of mental power, though, always is so beautiful. Just to be directly there. I don't know. I've felt it so, I don't know. It's so comforting for me to be there. But yeah,
I felt a lot of clarity too. Like even like for months, like everything was just like everything made sense.
It's still making sense. Like I always revert. I really do. I revert to a lot of things, and I'm always like just in awe, and it comforts me so much to know that like everything happens for a reason. Like let it go. Let it go. It's happening try to understand what's happening, but don't let it like get in the way. Be present. And everything will reveal itself. Do we have any more?
Yeah. Hold on, we got where do I sign up? Do you want to tell them where people can sign up with you?
Well, mine's Quantum Healing Meditation. I'm on TikTok and I have a website. And Maddie, you have your own website, which is Matt Schmidt. QH,
I'm
right?
MattSchmidtQH.com. YouTube is Matt Schmidt QH, Insta Matt Schmidt QH, TikTok Matt Schmidt QH.
Yeah, I gotta get my own domain.
The links to everything are on my webpage, so you can just click on everything too. So, our email mattscientist1 clever at gmail.com.
Mine's just Linna_K at Outlook. But yeah,
K spelled out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. K-A-Y. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I think maybe we'll wrap it up in a bit. I just want to share one thing that was just really cool. It kept popping up, but like, so we're trying to wrap our minds around kind of this concept of time, and actually, I think 2 examples that will kind of hit it home with a lot of things. So, the first one is a person came to me and they had a memory of when they were a kid. One of their questions was someone came to them in a dream and they comforted them and held them during a really tough time. And so she wanted to find out who it was. Well, we went through this trauma that I don't even remember what it was, but she said, I want to go give myself a hug. That little girl's hurting. And she went and gave herself a hug. And in that moment, she realized her dream as a child was about her session that we were doing in this time now. Yeah. And it's like, try to wrap your mind around that. Like, so her dream was actually about the future that happened while we were working together. And another one I want to share too was we get so attached to these things. We talked about past lives before. One of the people was carrying like shame and guilt from killing people in battle, and it was physically affecting them in this life. And going through the past life and everything, we took them through the dying scene. And I take people through dying all the time, but the people waiting for this person, usually it's like a loved one or guides. The people waiting for this guy were the people he killed, and they were there to thank him for the experience of being killed by him. So we choose this stuff coming in. We choose it to learn and grow from, and they wanted to share that experience together. And once you can see the big picture, it makes it easy to detach from like some of these heavy emotions that we carry through this lifetime and through other lifetimes. So
Right. Yeah, a lot of these sessions can be so mind-blowing and so educational for like both parties, It's tapping into this knowledge, this incredible knowledge. And even I've had some cases recently that jumped into their future, saw their spouses and their children, and even saw their careers just unfolding and their new homes. And it was, I didn't really realize until they started saying, like, this is mine. And I'm like, okay, well, this is not your current home. So I guess they were seeing what they were doing. And then they came out with this, aside from clarity, like this confidence, like, okay, now I know where I'm headed. I got a beeline now. I just got to get to it. I got to apply myself. And a lot of really good feedback with that. One is a up and coming country singer. So I can't wait to see that unfold. It's incredible. It's so fun.
Isn't that cool to be a part of all of it? I mean, it's pretty awesome. So
Can you imagine? Like, didn't I tell you like recently how I had this beautiful case where this person was like this unfolding of this incredible role that they have, and me and just my human self was just sitting there saying, wow, she's so lucky, like she has this incredible path ahead, like, and destiny. And I don't know if it was jealousy or envy or whatever it was. I was just like admiring how awesome it was, and I felt so small for some reason in that moment. And their higher selves, I like had to have heard my thoughts. Like they had to have known when they said, like, your job is, like, they came through and they were like, no, your job is vital, because without you, they wouldn't know their destiny. So that was just like, that grounded me. And then you confirmed that for me too. So that was, it's such fast. I'm so grateful to be able to help people in this way. It really is. Like, I plan on writing books eventually. I mean, you're working on one too, aren't you? Or not?
Yeah,
yet?
it's going slow. I mean, it's
okay.
I think maybe like 10 pages in, but it's
now, is it going to be dialogue based, or is it going to be in your own words?
Ish, but not really. I'm kind of summing up like big chunks of people's stuff.
I'm so excited to read that book, Maddie. I'm so excited for you. Yeah, I eventually
focusing on like the physical healing and stuff, because I just really find that just fascinating. I think that there's a lot there, but
it is. It's once we are able to. I mean, I've shown you that cut that I had on my foot, right? I made it seem day just by focusing on the intricate details of every cell in like a meditative state. We're capable of doing that. Oh, actually, I was experiencing some kind of pain in my back not too long ago. And in that space, like, I just quieted my mind, and I actually asked everybody. I was like, guys, I was like, please, like, I get why it hurts. Can you please just like help me out, take it away? Within 30 seconds, it was gone. Like, I asked my higher self and my guides. I was like, guys, can you please, like, I don't know what it is right now, but I'm so tired. Please help me out. And that's it. And they were like, okay, we got you.
Just have to ask. We forget that we can just ask,
That's a big one. We do forget that we can ask. And then I tell people, ask. It's okay to ask. And then just pay attention. Watch the signs. Listen to the radio. Look at the billboard. It's there.
You don't get what you don't ask for.
Right. That's a big one. Yeah.
Most people don't know what they want, I found out, but that's probably the big part. And then asking for what you want.
That's also another reason why we can't manifest instantly, right? Because I read that we change our minds too quickly sometimes because we don't know what we want. Yeah. So we got to be certain about what we want, and then our heart just gives out that frequency, and then it's almost instantaneous. What was the fastest thing you've ever manifested? Like, how fast did it come?
I don't know. Stuff happens fast. Sometimes it's like, yeah, it's just happening faster and faster, it seems.
Faster. Yeah. Like within a week.
I don't keep track of the time part of it because it really doesn't matter. If you just kind of detach from, like, time's so slippery. If I put a time frame on stuff, or like, oh, I want to do this by this, it's like, you almost restricted.
Oh, no, that's not, I don't mean like by give it a timeline, but I mean like just release it and then just not realize how fast it actually gets to you, like if it was something specific, which is what I mean, like the Amazon time. Are we good? Do we have any more questions, or are we wrapping?
I think we're good. Thank you so much for the answers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, makes perfect sense. Thank you. Oh, we got one more. Let's see. How can I help myself prepare for a more successful session when I've struggled previously to find peace I've sought through past QHHT sessions? Change your definition of success. If what I find with people is they're comparing this stuff to things they've seen online and things that have done like other people's sessions. Um, I tell people to let go of those expectations. Honestly, Rebecca, you and I could have a session one day, and by tomorrow that'd completely change. It'd be completely different than what we just what we just did. I've done a lot of these with my partner practicing. They've never been close to the same. So what I see is people expecting things to go a certain way, or to be a certain way, or to experience something in a certain way,
Yeah.
and they cut themselves off from the magic. So even if you're expected to be like a visual experience and something, maybe you're not a visual person. Maybe you're
Right.
more of a feeler. You're going to get stuff in the way that's perfect for you, and you can't really compare that to anyone. I think that's probably the biggest place people get stuck.
Yeah. I
What
think
would you say?
trust is huge though. Trust and comfort when it comes to your facilitator
Mhm.
is really big for a successful session. You have to be able to let go. I always tell my clients that I need you to completely cut everybody out because this is very intimate. This is just me and you time. I want you to be able to be transparent with me because it's us and the four walls. That's it. So you let it out, let it all out, and then go. I mean, the expectations can kill. But even if you do have expectations, sometimes when you go in, it's not what you expected. So you're like, oh, okay, this could be better than what I expected. And then they're easy to let go. Yeah. It's all about that communication and that trust and that love, it's you gotta let them feel loved. I love loving my clients, you know what I mean? Like giving them that boost of confidence and that just like joy and oh man, I love my job so much.
There's no right or wrong way to do this. I've had people
Nope.
snoring through their entire session, and they still get everything out of it. So, like,
I bet someone fall
if
asleep
you're, if
too.
you're, if you're like, oh my gosh, it's got to be like this. No, it doesn't.
How have you gone
And
about that? How did I've only had one person fall asleep, but they came to when it came time to
usually I
like
just talk faster. This person didn't want to be there, but I still asked everything, and it's still programming your subconscious mind. It's still working.
okay.
You just don't have a conscious awareness of it. Kind of like when you space out when you're driving. The
Yes.
car got there fine, but you don't have that conscious awareness. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Everything is still processing. Everything is still shifting. It's just on a level that you're not a conscious awareness of.
Yeah.
So you can also practice some guided meditations. I usually send people some stuff, but the biggest thing is people having expectations of what things are supposed to be. And when they
Yeah,
stop
that's
doing that, then they realize that everyone can do this.
everyone can do this. And it's such an incredible thing. And I love how there are shifts in the bodies. I know you have like some people who could like convulse and stuff. I've had people who the higher self has like pinpointed things in their bodies and they'll go like profusely vomit and then feel incredible afterwards.
Yeah.
Or like they get really hot, that's it. Energy fluctuating. I remember you saying
Mhm.
it's energy fluctuating, and then I experienced that. It was crazy.
The
Crazy.
more that I do this, the more I realize it's your intention with all this stuff. It's not like you have to do this and do this and do
No,
this.
yeah,
No, not
absolutely.
really. Just I've had people that just call me up, and the day that they call to schedule something, their physical symptoms that they've had for 7 years or 10 years go away
Are
just
gone.
by committing to the process, because time's not linear, and the process already starts.
Yeah, the intentions
So
are very important because
mhm.
everybody's listening, including your higher self. So that like the shifts are happening, the magic is happening.
I've noticed your beliefs going into it also affect stuff. If you believe this worked or didn't, you're right. Like
You believe this
you
works,
are such a
you're right.
powerful creator that you can undo everything we did. Just be like, well, that didn't work. Oh, that wasn't this, or I wasn't deep enough, or whatever this story
That's
is.
your
And
belief.
you
Yeah.
can undo all the stuff we just did. But why? Why not just allow and see what happens? And you'll be amazed at where you end up.
Well, and also, where does that come from? Like getting to the root of that. Like, where does that come from? That disbelief in yourself to be able to do something like that. That's
Mhm.
also very fascinating. It's like, bro, cut that, like, get rid of that. That's stifling you from getting where you need to be. Let go.
And this belief works whether you know you're doing it or not. Um, Like I tell people too, like almost every one of the people that I've worked with autoimmune disease was from the way they talk to themselves. You're already doing this whether you realize it or not. So once you understand how to do this and that you are doing this.
I came across this TikTok of this girl who tattooed "I cross my heart and hope to die" on her heart, and she's been going through like ever since. I don't know if it's ever since she got that tattoo, but she had like a heart monitor or a heart thing on her chest, and I just like I almost broke down. I was like, why? Because we know that it's so literal, that everything is taken so literally, and I was like, oh no, you just tattooed it right there, right above your heart, like "I cross my heart and hope to die." I don't know.
No,
It's
powerful.
just
Your words are powerful.
your words are very powerful. Oh, look at a hot mess.
I think that's all the questions we got, and I think we're pretty good for now. So, once again, Linna K, Quantum Healing Meditation. Reach out. Real big on TikTok. You can follow her there. She has a lot of good videos. Especially if you have a short attention span, the videos are nice and short, so you can learn a lot really quickly.
I try to keep it short. Do not follow Quantum Healing Meditation on Instagram. It's been hacked. I'm trying to get it back. I sincerely apologize.
Never
TikTok
mind.
for now. Subconscious knowledge. Yeah, subconscious _knowledge. That's me.
Okay.
Maddie, thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you on, and we'll definitely have to do this again. So.
Yeah, please, we'll do this again.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
There'll be more.
All right, take care.